Welcome, everyone, to this week's edition of Sports Shorts TV. I'm Ronnie Rance alongside our special guest of the first half hour of the show, Mr. Charles Hannegriff of ESPN Radio in Baton Rouge. Charles, how are you, bud?
Top notch, Ronnie.
Top notch. Well, we got spoiled a couple of weeks ago when LSU, the Saints, and Tulane all won in the same week, but that did not happen this past week. Tulane was off, the Tigers lose, Saints won, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But before we go on, because I was all, you wake up on a Monday morning and you want to recap the weekend, and, we make a big deal about sports because it's what we love, it's what we do. And then the tragedy happens over in Las Vegas, and it kind of brings back to reality what's really important. And I know you and I have been at many, many concerts, many outdoor festivities. The folks that own Pelican Broadcasting have been involved in the concert business for a long time. And just before we kind of go on to the lighthearted part of the day, just thoughts and wishes to all the family and everybody that's affected. Over 50 dead, 500 wounded over in Vegas, and a tragedy that unfortunately is probably going to change the landscape of how we do concerts and outdoor events and things like that in years to come.
Everything that we do has been changed by events like this. So this one will follow suit, I'm sure.
Yeah, unbelievable stuff over there. Let's move on to an event where, I don't know, what was the number? You don't get the actual attendance anymore as far as what was in Tiger Stadium. What would you say, Charlie? How many people you think were at the LSU-Troy game on Saturday? Not at the end, but at the height of it.
Well, I'm the wrong person to ask because I watched the game from studio. Okay. But, if I had
70, maybe.
If I had
65,
to guess, that's
70
probably if I had to
actual.
guess.
Yeah.
I didn't get a look at it, but that's probably not a bad guess.
Yeah, and then by the fourth quarter, about 25. Looked like a 4A state championship football game.
That I did see on the wide shot. It was not very many.
Well, if LSU were playing a home game this Saturday, they might set a record for lowest attendance because obviously the historic loss to Troy. You put this in the context of the 2000 loss at home to UAB, the loss to Miami of Ohio in the late 80s when LSU actually won an SEC championship that year. Was it 87, 88?
86, I think.
86 it was. They win an SEC championship, but yet they lose to a 1AA team, Miami of Ohio, who was a good 1AA team, but still, that's a McNeese, like losing to McNeese. The Tigers did that back then. This is in that conversation of biggest upsets in the history of the program.
Here's the differences that I see. The 86 team bounced back very quickly. They beat some good teams. You told me they won the conference. And they had an established coach, and it was a bad night. Anybody can have a bad night. They had a bad night. It was a good team that had a bad night. And you figured Orange Parker was gonna get it straight, and he did. With Saban in 2000, you had two things. Number one, you had a player take it upon himself to call a play that wasn't in the book when Josh Booty called that pass, and Saban had been here for less than a month. But he had a track record. He had been a head coach at two places. He had been a coordinator in the NFL. He had a track record.
By the way, real quick, the play that Booty audibled to wasn't a play that was in the playbook. It was an old Evangel play that he and his brother Abram had a signal.
Right.
And they were the only two people on the field knew that play was coming and went pick six.
I think the only other guy that knew it was coming was the DB for UAB. So you had a level that, listen, Saban's got to come in here. He's got to rebuild. But you knew he could do it because he had done it before. Orgeron doesn't have that on his resume. That he had a resume like Orensparger or like Saban. A lot of this was on the come a little bit. That he was going to be able to recruit well. He was going to be able to staff well. And he was going to be able to, up the level of what LSU had been doing. Is that going to happen? The early returns suggest that it's going to be tough.
2 years ago, so this is the 17 season, so the end of the 15 season, LSU had that historic 3-game run there where they just got destroyed in epic fashion. The biggest, you add up all 3 points in those 3 games, the biggest margin of defeat or whatever in school history. This has that same feel to me. The Mississippi State loss, the Syracuse win, and then the Troy loss. There was nothing about the Syracuse win that felt like a win, particularly in that stadium, in the locker room afterwards, the whole nine. This 3-game run, to me, even though it's different in a lot of ways, has the same feel that the Les Miles 3-game run towards the end of the 15 season, the 3 prior to the A&M game, but yet in 15, there was the, okay, well, this is it. We're going to move on and go in a different direction, which of course didn't happen. Whereas this is the beginning, and it doesn't feel like the beginning.
That's the worst part. That's the first thing I was going to say is they were sort of coasting home. They're limping home, if you will. This is supposed to be the time of the most optimism, an upward slant. You know, yeah, you got to sort some things out, but you're supposed to be ascending. Well, that's not happened. The other thing is those were all SEC games. Okay, well, these are not. Syracuse, how many games would they win in the SEC if they played? Well, this year's probably a bad example.
1 maybe.
They look like a 2-6 team in the league, probably. Mississippi State's the worst loss ever to a team that LSU has, more or less dominated.
And Mississippi's going on to just lay
and
2
they've
games.
gotten crushed.
Right.
And then Troy, this is your first ever loss to a team out of the Sun Belt. Okay, well this is as bad as. It's historically bad. That's a very good choice of words.
For those that are less miles, well, hadn't been that long. Those that are Coach O defenders, and it was interesting. There were some people that are Coach O backers and close to Coach O who, after the game on Saturday, immediately the spin machine starts to kick in, and I would hear, excuses. And you tell me how valid some of them are, right? We all know about the lack of depth on the offense and defense.
You want to go one by one?
Well, how much is laid at the feet? And of course, if you're a Coach O defender, you're going to say the recruiting the last 3 years has been off. Although it's been ranked in the top 10 in all the polls. So on a national scout.com, rivals, whatever level, it's not off. But in the only ranking system, and the only way we can tell, LSU recruiting's been fine, been right there with everybody like they've always been. But yet, when you look within the numbers and you look maybe within what they got, now all of a sudden, the Coach O defender says, "Oh, wait, recruiting's been real bad the last 3 years. Wait till he gets his recruits in over the next 2-3 years." What do you say just to that? Is there any credence to that?
There's some credence to roster imbalance. You've got too few linemen and too many defensive backs. You've got too many specialists and not enough running backs. Okay, by specialists I mean kickers and punters, and not enough running backs. Okay,
what causes that?
When you miss on guys, attrition. We can talk about some of the linemen that should be here that aren't here. Mea Tahuma should be here, isn't. Willie Allen should be here, isn't. George Brown should be here, isn't. Andy Dodge should be here, isn't. That's 4 more linemen. Well, that's a big deal when you've only got 11 to start with. I mean, if you had those 4 guys, you'd have 15. You'd have enough to field 3 offensive lines. But here's where it breaks down, though. Okay, the talent level, things like that. I'll give you on the offensive line that at right guard you've tried 3 different guys and 2 of them have been true freshmen, and that they've struggled a little bit. Fair point. But the other 4 guys have combined to start something like 45 games. I mean, Malone is a senior, Brumfield is a 4th-year junior, Clapp is a 4th-year junior, and Weathersby's a junior. Well, those guys aren't playing well either.
Right.
So I mean, every guy that makes a tackle behind the line of scrimmage isn't coming through the right guard gap. Okay, the veterans are. That's where you lose me with. This is a young team. I'll buy into the right guards are struggling, and maybe at one of your safety positions you've got a freshman that's busted some assignments, or your nickel, or your backup quarterback. But for your offensive linemen or upperclassmen, Greg Gilmore, you can talk about defensive line next. Well, Greg Gilmore is a 5th-year senior. Christian Lacouture is a 5th-year senior. The best player, Rashard Lawrence, has been out. Your corners are both juniors when Tolliver was starting. Your safeties, before they lost Paris, you had a 4th-year junior and a senior. Your number 1 wide receiver is a senior. Your quarterback is a senior. Your tailback is a junior. And your backup tailback is a senior. We're going to lay all this at the feet of Ed Ingram and Grant Delpit? I don't think so. That's not really fair.
Right. The thing that jumps out at you, the biggest surprise besides the loss, but when you watch this team, what surprises you the most about what they're not doing so well? Talking about LSU.
That they are not getting the ball into the hands of their playmakers. That At wide receivers, you have an abundance of talent that can't get on the field, that can't get the ball. You know, when Drake Davis has 3 catches through 4 games, but 2 of them go for touchdowns, I want to know why that guy's not getting the ball more. Now, Geis's injury is unfortunate, but for all the things we were supposed to see in the Matt Canada offense about creating mismatches, we haven't seen. Getting the ball out quickly sometimes, we haven't seen. The jet sweeps, they're running to the wrong guys. I'm sorry. Okay, I don't need to. I need to see the fast guys running the jet sweep. I'm surprised that they are getting muscled in the trenches as much as they are. I mean, the most appalling thing about the Troy loss was that it was straight up.
Yeah.
This wasn't a fluke. This
5
wasn't-
yards a rush they averaged.
Yeah, this wasn't one of those deals where you see, oh, this team got upset, but there was a tip ball that went for a touchdown, and
5 turnovers.
Or some backup lineman missed a block and they got a punt blocked and run back for a touchdown. It was, they played it in a monsoon. There was none of that. Troy beat them straight up.
Yeah. Yeah, you got the feeling that if LSU and Troy played 10 times, it might be 5-5
Yes.
or something. You know, I mean,
Very
it
much.
wasn't like a fluke thing. The Matt Canada thing, to me, is the biggest red flag because, you know, we were sold that, oh man, this guy's a rock star. He's got all these cool things. The defenses are gonna know where the ball's coming from. They're gonna run, you know, the same run and play by 12 different formations, and nobody's gonna know when it's coming, and all that kind of stuff. And it's you know, it reminded me of back in the day. You know, we've had a lot of coordinators kind of swing and miss, but you know, Lou Tepper, the Lou Tepper defense that, well, you know, and everybody at first was like, who's Lou Tepper? You know, but then we were so, oh, he's going to be great, and he's so smart, and he's got all these things, and the drop linebacker, and the offense is going to be confused, and it wasn't. It was a failure right away. I hope that obviously they can get it fixed, but man, the defense to me, no matter who they play, whether it's an SEC team or a non-SEC team, they just look like they're watching them move around and standing right there and reading it just fine, not having any problems.
But by the way, when they described what the drop linebacker was supposed to do, I wanted to know where they were going to go. I was like, well, that's fine if you have Kevin Hardy, but where do you go get that guy? And it took what, another
Thomas Dunson.
Yeah, well, it took another 15 years before they finally got a guy. Tyrann Mathieu would have been a great drop linebacker, okay? But Tyrann Mathieu's a great football player. They're not creating mismatches. They're getting beat at the line of scrimmage. All those veterans I just named, they're getting beat.
Yeah.
They're getting beat up front. And I'm not without a little bit of sympathy for Canada in that if your offensive line is that, you know, that poor, there's really no other word for me to use, there's not a whole lot you can run. I mean, you know, you say, well, you're losing your identity as a power run team. You can't power run if your offensive line is getting beat. I mean, Geis is good. Darrell Williams is a good back, but there's only so much you can do if you're getting beat up front.
And you know, the irony is that, you know, they're getting beat up front a little bit on both sides of the ball.
Yes.
And your strength, you know, Coach O's a D-line coach. He's got his mentor, Pete Jenkins, who, you know, supposedly is as good as they come. So you got 2 guys that are fantastic at coaching defensive lines. And then you got, you know, Coach Grimes is thought of as, you know, they retained him from the old staff. They think highly of him. So, you know, you feel like you got the coaches to coach those positions, but it's just not working out. He's Charles Hannegriff. I'm Ronnie Rance. We're here in LeBayer Studios in Baton Rouge. We'll take a break. When we come back on the other side, we'll get a little positive conversation. Talk a little Saints. Whodats are 2-2 going into the break. We'll talk about that and a whole lot more. Plus, T-Bob Hebert will be with us in a little bit, and we'll get his thoughts on the LSU offensive line as well. Don't go anywhere.
When my wife and I started Relief Windows, what we were trying to do, what our goal was to give a quality job to a homeowner. Everybody's scared of contractors. We wanted to change the mold of what that is. Not showing up on time, not answering the phone, somebody running with your money. The reason why you should pick Relief Windows to do your renovation of your home, windows, doors, Hardy Plank or siding, is because of the experience, quality service of our company. Service is everything we have. It's the foundation of our company. We're going to show up on time. We're going to do the job right. Over 60% of our customers is customer referral. We're a local company here in Baton Rouge, built in Baton Rouge, staying in Baton Rouge. Okay. The job's not done until you're happy and we're happy. It's built the old-fashioned way, with a handshake. Here at Relief Windows is honored to be official window, door, and siding company of LSU Athletics, from one winning team to another.
Appliance Distributors of Louisiana are appliance experts who have been in business for over 35 years. ADL provides worry-free, full-service solutions for the whole home. ADL works with designers, builders, or individual homeowners like me when I was remodeling my home after the Great Flood in August 2016. ADL offers special homeowner discounts, just like the ones the builders get. Go to ADLappliances.com and see all the major name brands, or stop by their store, Nicholson Drive in Baton Rouge. ADL services the entire state of Louisiana, so call, log on, or stop by today. Appliance Distributors of Louisiana. If you're an avid sports fan, then you need to check out the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame, located in historic downtown Natchitoches, next to the Chateau St. Denis Hotel and the Natchitoches Convention Center. The Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame is where the rich history of Louisiana sports is told through the pictures, artifacts, and by the legends themselves in video archives. Come to the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame and Northwest Louisiana History Museum and visit a world-renowned architectural marvel. For more information and to purchase tickets to the annual Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame events, visit lasportshall.com/purchase.
Welcome back, everybody, to the LeBear Studios in downtown Baton Rouge. Charles Hannegriff of ESPN Radio in Baton Rouge, our guest in the first half hour. We'll have T-Bob Hebert, another ESPN Radio show host. Charlie, been 25 years in the radio business?
25th season covering LSU
25th
football.
season. Wow. Wow. Long time.
I'm much too young to feel this old.
Unfortunately, the beginning and the end kind of feeling a little
I started with
the Curly
Curly.
Holman days, and here we are with Coach O, and hopefully this doesn't remind us of the Curly Holman days. LSU's got to go 3-4 in its last 7 games to be bowl eligible. Do they make it?
It's going to be close. There's only one game left this season that we really know what's going to happen. They're going to get beaten Tuscaloosa. The other 6 games, LSU's not the only team that's having problems. You might have seen Tennessee get worked on Saturday. Ole Miss got worked, but they got worked in Tuscaloosa. Arkansas doesn't look like they're anything fantastic. Now Auburn is on the upswing, and Florida, look. They may win the game this weekend. They're a small favorite, really, just a little over a field goal. So it's not like if LSU goes in there, it's going to be the biggest upset in SEC in the history of the series or anything. So you generally rule of thumb, if you got 6 toss-up games where the spread's going to be less than a touchdown, probably, and most of these things, you say 50-50. So they win 3 of the 6. That gets you to 6, and that gets you in probably the Liberty Bowl or something.
Tennessee, A&M, Arkansas, Ole Miss, those are LSU's best chances at winning. 4 games right there. Got to win 3 to be bowl eligible.
I'll throw Florida in there.
You'll throw Florida in there, even though it's at their place.
One thing I know about the guys that set these lines is they're smarter than me. And if they tell me that this is now they missed, they're not perfect.
Yeah, saying it's a pick 'em game at home. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's a field goal game.
Right.
That's what those guys say.
Right. Well,
give them a puncher's chance. Anyway.
You mentioned the word field goal. Doesn't make me feel real good if you're an LSU fan. I mean, you think about De La Houssaye making that 50-yarder or whatever at the Horn a couple years back, and there's been some big kicks for LSU down there in Gainesville. I just don't see that happening this time around.
I don't understand kickers. Never will. All I'll tell you about Jack Gonsolin is I actually did the Catholic High games his senior year, and so I saw every kick, and he was a punter too, and that kid was phenomenal. Okay, he never hit a kick like that. He drilled every ball into the end zone, pretty much about 90% of the balls in the end zone. I saw him make kicks upward of 45 to 50 yards in high school. I never saw him hit one like he hit the other night. And then Ogeron tells us today he missed a kick in practice on Thursday. I believe it.
Right.
I watched him go almost perfect. But when you turn the lights on and it means something, and you never know how a kid's gonna react. And I've heard Gordy say this. I've heard many ex-players that we've watched this guy kick on the practice field, and he's phenomenal. But not everybody translates into the stadium. Gonsalves got plenty of talent. I hope he figures it out.
Well, I'm going to give you the phone number for Brett McCabe. You're welcome to pass it along, and hopefully, somebody over there. Brett McCabe, of course, pitched at LSU in the early '90s.
He's a psychologist,
sports
right?
psychologist,
Yeah.
works with Alabama football, but a lot of professional golfers. And I equate kicking to golf. I mean, it's very much
putting?
the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, if I'm playing with Buzzy Heidel and Doug Thompson, and all of a sudden they go, "Okay, $10 on that putt," my hands get a little shaky. It doesn't matter. It's just the same way with field goal kicking. Let's talk about some fun stuff. The New Orleans Saints on Sunday morning, they play over in London. They win 20-0, first shutout in about 5 years. They're 2-2 going into the break. If you're 1-3 or 0-4, you got no shot at the playoffs. That's Saints history, and pretty much anybody's history. 2-2, huh? Maybe we're talking a little something different now.
The schedule softens as the season goes along. That's the really encouraging part. The NFL a lot of times is about catching teams at the right time. They caught Carolina at the right time. I don't know if Cam Newton became healthy this past week, but he sure looked like a different player against New England than he did against New Orleans. Now, why that is, only Cam knows. But the Saints are starting to get some people back. They got Zach Strief back yesterday, and I thought, early on that made a difference. They got Willie Snead back. They're going to get Terron Armstead back. At some point, they'll get Delvin Breaux back. And, the Saints healthy, which is, wow, that doesn't happen very often. They can give some teams some trouble. They've still got an elite quarterback. He's still playing at a very, very high level. By no means do I think this is a Super Bowl team or a team that goes deep into the playoffs, but can they be competitive in the division? Can they, sneak into a winning record? 9 wins? Yeah, they could. Last year's Saints team was two conversion plays away from having a winning season. They get a 2-point kick, or they get an extra point kick, run back for 2 against Denver, lose by 2. And in the first game of the year, the Raiders go for 2 and make it. That's the difference between a winning record and a losing record for the Saints last year. Not, they gave up this many rushing yards or this guy caught this many. 2 conversion plays are the difference. So it's not a massive stretch to say the Saints could finish 9-7 or 10-6. They could finish 6-10 or 7-9. It's about when you catch people. Can you stay healthy? Knock on wood. Can you keep everybody that they need upright and get some of these guys back? Okay. The Dolphins, they caught them at the right time. They made their trip out of the West Coast, came back. They went and got drilled by the Jets. Jay Cutler looks like he's playing for a paycheck. Hey, and by playing for a paycheck, I mean I'm here because I'm getting paid and not because I really want to be here. When Marshawn Lynch say, I'm here so I don't get fined. Cutler's like, I'm here because my wife told me to go get a paycheck.
10 million.
Yeah, $10 million bucks. Yeah. I mean, when he was at his best, he looked like he didn't give a flip, right? And so now you really don't. Look, I was on my sofa. I was perfectly comfortable. I was going to call games. They were going to pay me. It was going to be easy. But you guys offered me $10 million, so I'm here. But I don't really want to be here.
The New Orleans Saints defense through the first 2 games of the year, atrocious, looked like the same old, maybe even worse. Second 2 games, completely different. Looked like the preseason, Saints defense. Are you buying?
A little bit, not completely. They caught Cutler yesterday. They caught Newton. First 3 games of the season, Newton looked pretty bad. Okay,
Right.
in fact, I thought he was hurt.
Right.
I thought he was injured. But again, the differences are so small. The first game they played Devontae Harris at corner, and they didn't play Ken Crawley. And Harris
He wasn't even on the field.
right.
Crawley
He was
inactive
inactive that week. Right. So Harris got torched that whole night against Minnesota. Well, Crawley was in the game yesterday when he made what I thought was the biggest play of the game. That interception in the end zone that turned back that early Miami drive and really kind of set the tone for him a little bit. One guy makes a play through how many practices in August? You know, through say 25 practices or whatever. There wasn't probably a whole lot of difference between Ken Crawley, Sterling Moore, Devontae Harris, but they had to pick one, so they picked Harris. Well, that didn't work. Well, yesterday they picked Crawley, and that did work. That's the margin for the Saints. If they got guys there that just make one more play, could make all the difference in the world.
Saints have to go 8-4 in order to make the playoffs, because I think 10-6 is the number. I think you get to 10-6, 90% of the time you're getting into the playoffs. 8-4, do they do it?
Probably not. No, that's a bit ambitious. I think 6-6 is probably a lot more likely. But again, give me two more plays. Give me two more plays. Give me one more turnover. Give me one more special teams play. One more special teams touchdown, or something. It's not out of the realm possibility, but I'd say 6 is probably closer to what they get.
In your opinion, what has to happen for the Saints to go in a different direction at head coach? What's the season going to end up looking like? Is there a scenario?
I don't think that's on the table.
Okay, at this
really
point
don't.
still?
No, given his, stop me if you've heard this one before, but the contract's a little prohibitive.
Right.
I still think Sean Payton is one of the top coaches in the league. I really do. I think his offensive creativity and his mind give them a chance every time out. He's not perfect, okay? Defensively, it's been a revolving door, but I still think the guy is one of the sharpest minds out there. And if they could just catch a few breaks, just keep some guys healthy, okay? Their problems on that medical staff are, so outrageous that, they told a kid that had a broken leg that, that he has a bruise. Come on, help out a little bit.
Right.
Let me get my guys on the field. I still think Peyton's one of the better coaches out there.
It just seems to me, and I agree with you, that he is an excellent coach. There's no question about it. It just seems like this team misses that general manager, that strong presence.
You didn't ask me about that.
That strong.
You didn't ask me about that.
But I mean, they miss that guy that can take the things that Sean does well and then help them.
Now,
because that's what they desperately need.
If you wanted me to fire Sean Payton, the general manager, I'll do that.
Right.
Okay. Sean Payton, the head coach, I'd like to keep. Sean Payton, the meddling personnel guy, I would like to go away.
Yeah.
And if you brought in a strong personnel guy, and they thought that's what Jeff Ireland was, and last year's draft was a lot better. Okay. Jury's still out on this year's draft, but. That guy, if you want to put a strong personnel guy up at the top, I have no problems with that approach.
Charlie, thanks for the time. Appreciate it. Check out Charlie Monday through Friday, 11 to 1 on ESPN Radio in Baton Rouge. Appreciate it.
All right, Ronnie.
All right, we'll talk to T-Bob Hebert. He gets up a lot earlier in the morning than Charlie does. We'll talk to T-Bob right after this.
At Peak Performance Physical Therapy, we treat the athlete in everyone, from the Grand Slam hitter to grandparents. If your doctor prescribes physical therapy, ask for Peak Performance by name, getting you back in the game of life.
Relief Window. Experience Relief Window.
When my wife and I started Relief Windows, what we were trying to do, what our goal was to give a quality job to a homeowner. Everybody's scared of contractors. We wanted to change the mold of what that is. Not showing up on time, not answering the phone, somebody running with your money. The reason why you should pick Relief Windows to do your renovation of your home, windows, doors, hardy plank, or siding, is because of the experience, quality service of our company. Service is everything we have. It's the foundation of our company. We're going to show up on time. We're going to do the job right. Over 60% of our customers is customer referral. We're a local company here in Baton Rouge, built in Baton Rouge, staying in Baton Rouge. Okay. The job's not done until you're happy and we're happy. It's built the old-fashioned way, with a handshake. Here at Relief Windows is honored to be official window, door, and siding company of LSU Athletics, from one winning team to another.
Relief Windows.
Be our BR Mattress Company is the only name you need to know when looking to buy a mattress anywhere in Louisiana. BR Mattress Company is located in the Live Oak Shopping Center on Florida Boulevard between North Foster and Acadian. BR Mattress Company offers all the top name brands at 50 to 75% off retail prices. That's a $5,000 mattress for only $1,500. BR Mattress Company is open 7 days a week, and owner Mitch Kimball and his staff will provide you with laser-like service and a PhD in mattress education. If you want the best night's sleep of your life, go see the experts, Baton Rouge Mattress Company.
At Peak Performance Physical Therapy, we treat the athlete in everyone, from the three-point shooter to the three-piece suit. If your doctor prescribes physical therapy, ask for Peak Performance by name, getting you back in the game of life.
Welcome back, everybody. Ronnie Rance alongside our second guest, the well-dappered one, Mr. T. Bob.
Hey,
how are you, sir?
Thank you. I worked hard to put this together, considering the day that I was just telling you about from yesterday.
Yeah, so the Tigers finish up. You know, they play. The game ends about 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
Post game and all. You don't get out of there until about 10 at least at Tiger Stadium, which is not a big deal for the old T-Bob, but the new T-Bob gets up at 3:30 in the morning to do your radio show, which
Yes.
comes on at 7 every morning on ESPN
Yeah.
Radio. And so you normally Sunday would be a big day for you. You get to sleep in.
Yes.
But not this week.
So yeah. Well, I mean, look, at this point, waking up at 3:30, sleeping in till like 7:30, 8.
That's true.
That is like sleeping in till
Right,
noon. It feels
that's
great or whatever. But no, I was all excited. There's a Saints game in London, so I was like, oh, I should go to the Londoner, and that'll be great. And we'll like drink beer at 8:30 a.m. and it'll be a lot of fun. And if I had stuck to beer, it probably would have stayed fun. But no, a lot of Jameson.
Yeah.
Was drunk.
Yeah, Luke-
never drink with a native Englishman.
Yeah.
Is what I learned. And
Who
Luke
owns
Betts-
the bar.
Yeah. So it was, one thing leads to another. Take a little nap at the bar, go home, sleep until 10 p.m. last night before I finally kind of wake up and
What kind of crowd is over there?
question
Decent
what
crowd?
I'm doing for my life. Yeah, it was all right, man. There was
I mean, that's a big soccer place, the London.
Yes, well, they're used to that weekend, early morning, everybody getting together and doing that. I was very excited for it. I was not used to. But hey, the Saints won.
So I'm going to ask you, obviously your dad, Bobby Hebert, played for the Saints, played for the Falcons. You grew up in Atlanta, that Falcons or Saints? Which is really the one?
So for me, growing up, it actually was the Falcons.
Right.
Because of my age, that's where I have memories of.
Right.
Is like some of those Falcons teams. And to be quite honest, my dad was never the biggest Saints fan until he got older, until a little time ago.
Right.
Jim Finks was kind of a villain
Sticking
in my
point.
household
Right.
a little bit growing up. So he was always like, the Falcons treated me better. But
Right.
he's like Louisiana heart, obviously loves the Saints, was happy to
Right.
come back. But yeah, so I always grew up a Falcons fan. And then when I got to college, I came to Louisiana, and I kind of started to realize the writing on the wall. I was like, I should probably start cheering for the Saints. So I just kind of slowly made that transition, and people don't question me about it too much,
Right.
Because they just assume that I've always loved New Orleans.
Well, I've been on the Falcons bandwagon the last couple of years. Just not that I'm a fan, but they're a good team. And,
They get the LSU guys.
And of course, I thought they had the epic collapse of the Super Bowl champs, but.
But it made a lot of Saints fans happy because right now there's the Who Dat Nation's kind of one trump card still over Atlanta as they can just point to
Right.
the ring. And now it's even worse.
Yeah, but I tell you what, I'm going to go to when the Saints play in Atlanta. I'm going to go to that game, and I'm looking forward to seeing that stadium. The Nest looks unbelievable, huh?
Yeah, it looks incredible, and that's also kind of another sad sticking point for Saints fans a little bit. They even had to take the Mercedes-Benz.
They took the same name,
It's
like-
just everything. No, but I mean, I've got a lot of buddies in Atlanta. They said it's unbelievable. I've seen pictures. You know who plays there? People are obsessed with it now. The ATL United, that new MLS team. But
They've got their own stadium, though, right?
I don't actually know. I know they're playing in the dome or in whatever. What are they?
Oh, they
called?
are playing in the Nest or whatever.
Is that what
currently?
do they actually call it the Nest?
Yeah, that's the
I
nickname.
didn't know if that was like an affectionate-
it's like the nickname, the Nest. I mean, granted, Mercedes wants you to call it the Mercedes Dome, but I mean,
Yeah.
it's the Nest.
So yeah, I don't know.
So, all right. So the Saints win. They're 2-2 now.
Yeah.
All of us.
Yeah,
I mean,
man.
and I'll ask you the same question I kind of asked Charlie in the other segment, which is, are you buying the Saints defense? Because obviously, that's what it's going to take for the Saints to have a winning team.
So I guess that the truth of the Saints defense is probably somewhere in between what we saw the first two games and the last two games. You're probably not. I think you're definitely not as bad as you saw those first two games. I think that's kind of been borne out. But then again, Carolina, even with what they did to New England Sunday, previously not exactly the best offense. And you're talking about a Dolphins team that should have lost 20-0 2 weeks in a row.
Right.
The one touchdown they scored against the Jets was the last play of the game, complete garbage time. So them giving up 186 yards to the Dolphins, good, because old Saints defense, maybe they find a way to completely blow
Yeah,
it.
they
If the Dolphins
rejuvenate Jay Cutler's career.
Exactly. Cutler and Gase, that's their coming out party. So I think they're not as bad as we thought coming out of two games. But I still kind of question where their ceiling is. But you got to like the direction of the team is trending, considering we always talked about these first four. And if you went 2-2 through these four, then you were really setting yourself up for an easier road later. But look, it's up to Sean Payton and company to get the benefit of the doubt once again, because we've seen this before, right? We've seen them fight to 4-4 multiple years in a row, only then to fall back and eventually finish at 7-9. So I'm much more intrigued now, obviously, like everyone else, than I was 2 weeks ago, though.
Yeah, at least it's got our attention for a few more weeks, right? I mean, and what was funny was, I talked to some folks in the Saints marketing department, that sell suites and tickets and group sales and all that. And after the situation a week ago where a lot of the Saints kneeled for the national anthem, they got letters, they got calls from a lot of potential, people business. I mean, my father actually, who's got a bunch of season tickets, actually he was a Vietnam vet, and he wrote a well-written letter to his contact, the person that handles his account with the Saints, and and just said, hey, I'm disappointed in the Saints. I won't be renewing my season tickets next year. And they called him immediately, and unfortunately, there's a lot of people that had been calling and saying things like that.
Yeah.
So the PR-wise, not for the Saints but for the league, really, was in a bad week. So a friend of mine who buys he cherry picks suites every once in a while. He waits for the last minute deal, right? To get the good deal for the suites for his business. Had talked to his rep on Friday and offered like $3,000 for a suite, like for a future game or something. And now $3,000 sounds like a lot of money to most people, but for a suite that's got 20-something tickets and all that, and he was like $3,000 with food. That's a really good deal. But the point is that his rep for the Saints didn't say no, said let's wait till Monday. So let's wait till Monday, because that's how bad things are right now between the whole controversy with the kneeling and then the Saints not being good. So at least for another week or two, or 2 weeks at least, because they got a bye week. You got to pay a little bit more of a premium for the Saints suite still.
So that's the other part of this, is that I'll be interested to see if they do start winning again and they do start threatening. If I'll be interested to see if some of those people that are walking away from the season tickets maybe are like, maybe I should think about keeping them.
I'll wait.
I'm not as angry as I was a couple weeks ago.
Right, exactly.
But I got my eye on you.
What do you think's the most important thing for the Saints in order to have a successful season? What phase, what part are you going to be interested to watch the most?
I think it's got to be the defense. Specifically, I'm interested to see if that secondary continue to improve. I think that Ken Crawley's been a nice surprise the last couple of weeks. What is a healthy Delvin Breaux like nowadays? And can they build off of some of the success that they've had over the last 2 weeks? Because I really like the direction of the offense. The offense remains top tier. It always has been. I think that Alvin Kamara has, for the Adrian Peterson decision looks really bad right now. Obviously, he's not playing and you're paying him. But the decision to trade up to get Alvin Kamara, which was another controversial move, looks very good right now. And so they haven't always hit, but the offense remains strong. It's like every other Saints year. Its ultimate success will be decided by the D.
The Adrian Peterson decision, before we take a break, just baffles the mind that the Saints would go in the Adrian Peterson direction. But if you're going to go at the Adrian Peterson direction, which on its merit you're not necessarily against, don't you have the conversation and say, Adrian, like, we got Mark Ingram, he's our number one. Like, you're going to be our number two. You don't really catch the ball that well, so we're not really going to use you on third down. Like, you're not going to play a whole lot, but we want your presence in the locker room, and if anything happens to Mark Ingram, you're the guy.
That's the confusing part is, like, are they really just paying for Adrian Peterson's presence in the locker room? Because he's not doing that. And you would have to imagine that, and maybe Peyton thought he had a role for him, and it just didn't work out, but, like, you would have to imagine that Peyton thought he had a clear and distinct way that he could get Peterson involved and get production out of him, but it's not happening. But look, whatever, as long as the team keeps winning, that'll
but you
solve
also,
everything.
he's been very vocal. He said some things again this week. You just hope he doesn't.
I haven't seen the
you just
latest
hope
patch.
he doesn't, start to
don't
become
want
a
him-
cancer.
Distraction or whatever.
Because
right?
he just
Coaches
needs
are
to.
always talking
He needs to
about it.
understand his role and understand, like, hey, it's not my team. I'm not the guy, and he's either going to be happy or you gotta try to move him.
I mean, he's probably a bit upset too that he chose to come to New Orleans out of all the potential suitors that he had.
He's T-Bob Hebert. You can check him out Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 a.m. on ESPN Radio in Baton Rouge. He and Jordy Collada. We'll take a break. We come back. We'll talk some LSU football with him, and we'll talk about his decision to come to Baton Rouge to work in the radio business.
Hey,
we'll
nice.
talk about that. Don't go anywhere.
Relief window. Experience Relief window.
When my wife and I started Relief Windows, what we were trying to do, what our goal was to give a quality job to a homeowner. Everybody's scared of contractors. We wanted to change the mold of what that is. Not showing up on time, not answering the phone, somebody running with your money. The reason why you should pick Relief Windows to do your renovation of your home, windows, doors, Hardy Planker siding, is because of the experience, quality service of our company. Service is everything we have. It's the foundation of our company. We're going to show up on time. We're going to do the job right. Over 60% of our customers is customer referral. We're a local company here in Baton Rouge, built in Baton Rouge, staying in Baton Rouge. Okay. The job's not done until you're happy and we're happy. It's built the old-fashioned way, with a handshake. Here at Relief Windows, it's an honor to be official window, door, and siding company of LSU Athletics, from one winning team to another.
Relief window.
Appliance Distributors of Louisiana are appliance experts who have been in business for over 35 years. ADL provides worry-free, full-service solutions for the whole home. ADL works with designers, builders, or individual homeowners like me when I was remodeling my home after the Great Flood in August 2016. ADL offers special homeowner discounts, just like the ones the builders get. Go to ADLappliances.com and see all the major name brands, or stop by their store on Nicholson Drive in Baton Rouge. ADL services the entire state of Louisiana, so call, log on, or stop by today. Appliance Distributors of Louisiana. If you're an avid sports fan, then you need to check out the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame, located in historic downtown Natchitoches, next to the Chateau St. Denis Hotel and the Natchitoches Convention Center. The Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame is where the rich history of Louisiana sports is told through the pictures, artifacts, and by the legends themselves in video archives. Come to the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame and Northwest Louisiana History Museum and visit a world-renowned architectural marvel. For more information and to purchase tickets to the annual Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame events, visit lasportshall.com/purchase.
Welcome back, everybody. Ronnie Rance, T-Bob Hebert here in the LeBear Studios in Baton Rouge. A lot of great concerts and whatnot coming up at LeBear's. Go to Ticketmaster.com or go by the Sundry store and check it out. Bret Michaels going to be in concert this fall over at LeBear's. A little Poison. And, of course, I don't know if you've ever...
I know nothing about Poison, really.
Well,
Actually, I guess I may have. Is that like technically hair metal?
Every rose, hair bands.
Yeah.
Every rose has its thorn. I mean, it's
Yeah,
a classic.
okay, there you go.
Classic,
It's a great
you know,
song. It's a great song.
But I'll say this: I don't know what you do if you've got a routine or you do something for Halloween.
Yeah.
But LeBear's has the best Halloween bash in the whole city.
Really?
It's usually it's either the Friday or the Saturday before Halloween. Check your calendar. You can go check it out. Download the LeBear's Baton Rouge app for free on your phone. It tells you everything you need to know.
What are you going to dress as?
Well, I'm the MC. They have a $5,000 costume contest. Usually the Chiwis or the Mollies or somebody plays. It's inside. I mean, there's usually like 1,000 people and 800 are in costume.
So you're going to be in costume.
So
Surely
I'll be
you're
the So I was Trump last year. I was Donald Trump,
so
wig,
good,
everything.
dude.
You know, the whole
so good.
The year before that, I was a Waffle House cook.
Waffle House. My fat kid.
I came out
fantasy.
throwing free waffles into the crowd. They went nuts.
My fat kid fantasy has always been to build a replica Waffle House kitchen
In your
my
house.
house if I got rich enough, so that I could make bacon Texas cheesesteaks just how they make them.
And just
at Waffle House.
yell out your order.
Oh, it'd be so good.
Who's
It
the
all
cook,
comes-
you or your
It all
wife?
goes from Richie Rich. He had a McDonald's in his house in that Macaulay Culkin movie when I was younger. My wife's the cook.
She's the cook?
I do like I've taught myself like the traditional manly stuff, like the grilling.
Right.
And you know, I dabble elsewhere. I'm getting my waffle game down. I got a kid on the way, so you know, I'm trying to get my dad stuff, like so I can make Saturday breakfast.
Right.
French toast.
Well, let's. If you ever get to Waffle House Kitchen, please invite me because smothered
absolutely,
covered
dude.
chunk diced.
I mean,
is
my
favorite.
go-to is bacon Texas cheesesteak, double plate, smothered covered with a waffle on the side and a vanilla Coke.
Because that's a serious meal right there.
Yeah, it's a big meal. I've been doubling up the meat too. Look, that's fine. I know nobody came here to talk about.
Waffle crispy, bacon crispy. That's my go-to.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I like it crunchy. I don't like it
you
soft.
Get a little, I've never thought about
Yeah,
asking
ask them for crispy. They'll make it a little crispier for you.
I did not know I had anything else to learn about Waffle House after
Coach,
growing up in
let
Atlanta.
me tell you something. I'm older than you. I'm 45, and I'm such a Waffle House connoisseur. Two quick stories about waffles. I know it's completely off topic, but two of my in 1993, I was at LSU baseball. We went to Jonesboro, Arkansas to play Arkansas State in a 3-game series. They opened up a new stadium. Their coach was a friend of Skip, so we went up there. Coach Bethea was his name, and we went to go help them open a stadium. They had an all-you-could-eat Waffle House. In not a buffet, like just order it. Okay, all you can eat Waffle House, and the whole team went and ate pizza or something. Whatever they went and did. We saw it on the bus, and me, Todd Walker, Harry Barrios, and Mike Neal got a booster to drive us and drop us off at the all you can eat Waffle House.
There's impermissible benefits.
I'm sorry. It wasn't a booster. It was a parent. It was a parent.
Yes, it was a parent. Right.
But we dropped this off, and we all started off eating in the same booth. By the end of it, we all had our own booth, and we all had plates and all. It was just unbelievable.
That also sounds like an incredible experience.
And then the other thing is, for years, starting my own business, Jumbo Sports Networks and other independent, you keep receipts for everything for tax purposes. Well, Waffle House only took cash until about 8 years ago.
That's true.
And I had so many of the yellow ticket stubs, my CPA would look at me like, "What is wrong with you?" I would just
Ronnie, your finances are fine, but
I'm worried about your cholesterol.
you're eating a lot of Waffle House.
I swear to God, the Waffle House in Sherwood and I-12, they know me by heart. But anyway,
Oh, man,
all right,
I'm
let's
sorry.
talk some LSU.
Yes.
Things are not obviously going the way LSU had planned them to be.
No, it's not.
This
Not very
3-game
Waffle House.
stretch, Mississippi State, Syracuse, and Troy, about as bad a 3-game stretch as you can possibly get.
Yeah, I haven't even thought about really putting it like in those terms, but you're right. It's been the last 3 weeks especially have been bad, and maybe that's where it gets most disappointing to me is that there has been a clear regression on this team from game 1 to game 5, and that, in my opinion, is what reflects most poorly on the coaching staff right now, is that regression. Like, yeah, it's one thing to have personnel problems, which they have, It's one thing to have a bit of bad injury luck, which they have, suspension luck, which they have. But then all of that is then exacerbated when this coaching staff right now just looks a bit in over its head. And then you hear about Coach O today admitting to doing the one thing that he said he would not do when he was campaigning for the job, which is get involved in the offense. This whole idea of simplifying, which I was vehemently against all of last week. I thought all the shifts and motions were being scapegoated. Well, it turns out simplifying the offense was not the correct play. They did it for the first half. They ended up getting a goose egg. They went back to running the old offense in the second half, and it got better. But that sort of disharmony, that just it does not speak well of where the staff's at right now. Now, they have games that they can win. If they win these games, they can make up for all of this. Like, their story's not written yet, but it looks incredibly alarming now on the heels of the worst loss in the last 17 years.
The thing that's surprising, and before we talk O-line, because I want to get your perspective on that, but the thing that's surprising is you were in your 5th game against Troy. The whole offseason, we were sold on the genius of Matt Canada and the confusion of the swinging gate, move it over here, snap it, throw it left. You don't know where the running play's coming from. We're going to run 34 wham out of 17 different formations. Well, you don't believe in that now, is what you're saying. After 4 games, you're going, well, maybe that's not what we want to do. Well, that's what he does. I mean, that's what Matt Canada does. That's the whole reason you gave him $1.2 million and you brought him in, or $6 million or whatever he's getting, was because he does that. So now we're not going to do that, but then at halftime now we are. You laid it out. You're basically saying that your offense was confused with all the motion and that it somehow hampered your offense, when in reality it's supposed to confuse the defense.
And I think it was. I think objectively, watching the film from those first few games where you were moving and shifting a lot, that was the best part of your offense.
Right.
You were manipulating the defense to create scoring opportunities, influence them in either ways. I have not liked since day one how they've handled the passing game this year. I feel like because they're so paranoid about Etling getting pressure, they've been keeping in tight ends, they've been keeping in running backs, and they're trying to do these max protect type of schemes, but it's not really working for various reasons, mental and physical guys getting beat. And so not only are you still getting pressured, but you're cutting down on Danny Etling's options to get rid of the ball. And Etling hasn't been as good as he should, but I mean, the offense is just supremely disappointing right now and completely not what LSU fans are sold on, or why you hired Matt Canada. And I don't understand why you hired Matt Canada if you're not going to let him run his offense. That is worrisome, and it's especially worrisome because it is the exact thing that Coach O said when he got the job that he was not going to do.
Okay, offensive line, your bread and butter. To the layman, like myself, I see the offensive line and think, okay, lack of depth. We got the glaring hole at right guard. We got some veterans that just aren't playing well.
Yeah.
When you look at the offensive line, give me something beyond that.
I mean, so I do think that they are, outside of just the kind of lack of cohesiveness with the coaching staff and them being on the same page, the offensive line is obviously the next biggest problem right now with this offense. And it's kind of the same type of deal, like not being on the same page, communication not always being there. And it's one of those things where, and this is how you know that they're a group that's not playing with very much confidence right now, is that it's a different guy every play. It's not like one guy just being some huge weakness. I mean, except for Clapp, who's actually, maybe besides Syracuse where he struggled a bit, Clapp's been pretty strong all year. But like there's so it's one guy here or there making a mistake, and then sometimes they're just physical, bad technique, you're getting beat. Other times they're just mental. Where I've been most frustrated with is that they've struggled at times to handle movement from the defense, slants, blitzes, a simple gut cross where your 2 inside backers go to the opposite A gaps. It's a simple blitz, and it works nearly every time against LSU, it seems like. And that's a bit of an exaggeration, but you get the point, right? Like, so they have to work on that. So that's kind of the bad thing, is that there is no quick fix to this, because it's kind of like a lot of small different problems and missed assignments all coming together to form this larger picture. And then the pass protection struggles, which were obviously better against Troy because you're playing Troy, they're team-wide as well. And the backs are involved a bit. The tight ends are involved a bit. So it's not a good outlook.
Offensive line coach is Coach Grimes.
Yeah.
And, most people don't know anything about offensive line coaches. But everybody feels like they know about offensive coordinators.
Yeah.
There are different types of offensive line coaches. There's different techniques on how you coach. Hat on a hat, zone, there's different things.
Absolutely.
What type of offensive line coach is Grimes, and is it the right fit for maybe LSU, college, what LSU does?
It's tough to say without being in those meeting rooms. We get such limited access that I can only go, I don't get to watch him teach. I get to watch him teach a very small portion. What I see, it seems all right. But so then you go by anecdotal evidence. Okay, so what are we hearing from people? And in that regard, you hear, I hear some guys who love him, some guys who hate him. So it's like that doesn't give a fully
Which is standard.
clear
That's
picture.
how every
And
coach is. Right.
Thank you. Right, exactly. So I honestly don't know what kind of coach he is, but like any leadership position, unfortunately for him, I don't know that the truth of the matter actually comes into play. A lot of times, perception is going to determine reality, and right now the perception is that he has not done a very good job with this offensive line. And when you have the 6 linemen that left this last offseason, that too falls at his feet once again, whether fair or not. It does not matter. You're a highly paid coach. This just comes with the territory. So if there's a guy who probably should be most worried because his contract protects him the absolute least, unfortunately, it's probably him. And I hate having these conversations, but look, that's what happens when you play big-time college football.
You're 3-2. You got 7 games left. You got to go 3-4 to be bowl eligible. It's going to be a dogfight for LSU to get there.
I know.
And if whether LSU gets to 6 wins or they end up at 4 or 5 doesn't matter. Heads are going to roll. 6 or less, heads are going to roll. I think if you have 7 or more, maybe you got a chance of things staying a little bit of normalcy. But 6 or less, you may see a new coordinators. On offense, you may it could really change a lot.
Give me Ben.
We didn't get a chance to get into old T-Bob and how he got up to Baton Rouge, but just check him out. Great show. He and Jordy Collada, 7 to 9 a.m. each and every Monday through Friday on ESPN Radio in Baton Rouge. You can check it out on the ESPN app. Thank you, buddy.
Hey, Ronnie. Always
Appreciate
a pleasure,
it.
man.
Have a great week, everybody.
Lady y'all.
If you're an avid sports fan, then you need to check out the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame, located in historic downtown Natchitoches, next to the Chateau St. Denis Hotel and the Natchitoches Convention Center. The Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame is where the rich history of Louisiana sports is told through the pictures, artifacts, and by the legends themselves in video archives. Come to the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame and Northwest Louisiana History Museum and visit a world-renowned architectural marvel. For more information and to purchase tickets to the annual Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame events, visit lasportshall.com/purchase.